Money, politics, and the collapse of Enron. Subpoenas are issued by the dozens today, and the U.S. Treasury now acknowledges it did get an Enron SOS. Ford rolls out plans to close plants, cut jobs, and you can say goodbye to the Lincoln Continental. The first plane load of prisoners from Afghanistan arrives at the U.S. military base in Cuba for interrogation. And a guilty verdict in the Hockey Dad trial, guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
And good evening. Dan is on assignment tonight. I'm John Roberts. The Bush administration was trying again today to control the damage from the collapse of the Enron Corporation, a company with ties to many administration officials, including the president. The key questions for congressional and criminal investigators include who knew what and when about the energy company's slide into bankruptcy. Today we learned that a top executive of Enron asked the administration to step in late last year to try to head off the company's collapse. We begin our coverage tonight with CBS News correspondent Bill Plant at the White House.
As its stock price was plummeting last fall, an Enron executive made numerous attempts to get help from the Bush administration. Treasury officials revealed today that Enron President Lawrence Whaley made 6 or 8 phone calls to Undersecretary of the Treasury Peter Fisher. Enron was seeking a credit extension from its banks, and Fisher believed that he was being asked to encourage the banks to help. The Treasury Department says Fisher did not intervene, but Enron's repeated contacts with Bush administration officials have triggered new questions.
The fact that Enron and its executives were very closely knit with the Bush administration and its leaders has to be eventually a subject of inquiry here.
A Senate committee today issued subpoenas to Enron, its accountants Arthur Anderson, and 49 Enron board members. A senior House Democrat sent a letter asking the Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce why they didn't mention the company's requests for assistance. The administration says it did nothing to help Enron, but the company's generosity to the president still raises questions about the role of money in politics.
When you combine huge campaign contributions with efforts to influence government decisions, that's a formula for disaster.
And Republican strategists worry that it could also be a disaster if their party is perceived as the champion of Wall Street, not Main Street.
In politics, perception is about 95% of what you got. And clearly there's a perception now that this fella from Enron was playing fast and loose with his friendships in Washington.
And perception is exactly what the White House is worried about. Democrats are pointing out that the rank and file at Enron was losing its shirts, even as their executives were cashing in their options and calling the White House asking for help. The administration says it knew nothing about that, and it is hoping that with a war underway and a popular president, there will be no appetite for a long partisan investigation. John?
Bill Plant reporting from the White House tonight. Like many other corporations, Enron has been spreading its money around among federal and state politicians for years. The Enron story is a typical saga of money, power, and influence in Washington. On Capitol Hill, 71 senators, Republican and Democrat, have received a total of more than $500,000 from the energy giant. In the House, 188 members have shared more than $600,000. What's more, Senators Joe Lieberman and Ernest Hollings, who chair 2 committees looking into the Enron collapse, have both received money from the corporation.
This is a somewhat unusual situation where there's very few people untainted by Enron money right now.
The lion's share of the campaign cash has gone to Republicans, specifically George Bush. Since 1993, Enron and its employees funneled $2.25 million into Mr. Bush's political career and party coffers. But Enron also played the other side of the political fence. Prior to George Bush's campaign, Enron chairman Ken Lay contributed heavily to Bill Clinton's election, played golf with the former president, even received White House support for overseas Enron projects.
The bottom line for them is that they want to have influence in Washington. They want to have access in Washington, and they will give the contributions to get that access, to get that influence.
Even as Enron was spiraling into bankruptcy in late November, it made 2 $100,000 contributions to Senate Republican and Democratic campaign committees. Republicans sent the money back. The Democrats donated theirs to charity. Enron is headquartered in Houston, so the state of Texas, the home of 2 presidents named Bush, was the company's center of power. CBS News correspondent Bob McNamara has more tonight about Enron and the Texas connection.
Talking Enron in Texas was talking power and influence.
You held your head up high and you were proud to say, I'm an Enron employee.
And Enron chairman Ken Lay was a big leaguer when it came to power and politics. A pal of presidents, the 1992 Republican convention Lay helped bring to Houston starred the first President Bush. And when world leaders gathered here for a 1990 economic summit, President Bush named Ken Lay the local host.
Clearly, the corporate mentality down here is that the line between politics and business is a fine line. And you work in both communities.
Delighted you're all here.
Ken Lay, builder of the world's biggest energy trading company before fantasy finance brought it down, invested in Houston. From local reading programs for children to feeding programs for the homeless, Enron gave millions annually that now will be missed. For all the money Ken Lay showered on President George W. Bush's election campaign, it's unclear now whether he's lost the president's ear.
The president clearly is attempting to distance himself in many ways, obviously throwing out a great deal of concern for the employees and their 401ks.
It was like a dream company, and now it's just an illusion.
The grandfather clock Enron gave Angelina Lorio for 25 years of service is no consolation to the $500,000 in Enron stock she's lost.
We would like our money back, and we want these guys to go to jail.
At the Houston ballpark, still named for Enron, a hot dog costs about 6 times as much as 1 share of Enron stock. But in a city where everything energy, even the wind, is for sale, Enron is no joke when so many lives and livelihoods still seem to be twisting in the wind. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Houston.
Another big corporation, the Ford Motor Company, is going in for a major overhaul, cutting thousands of jobs and closing plants. The century-old automaker is trying to get back on the road to profitability, and correspondent Anthony Mason reports several well-known Ford models are about to go the way of the Rambler and the Studebaker.
Ford rode into the auto show in Detroit this week in a sleek new sports car, but today Ford's chairman admitted his company had lost its way.
We strayed from what got us to the top of the mountain, and it cost us greatly.
And as part of a sweeping restructuring, worldwide 35,000 Ford employees will pay with their jobs.
It's difficult coming in there to work knowing that you're not going to have a job in another few weeks.
Some people left crying and stuff, so it's pretty hard for a lot of people in there.
Plants in Missouri, Michigan, Ohio, and New Jersey will be closed. 11 others will undergo major downsizing. Ford's problem:
they've got too much capacity, or they've got too few buyers, whichever way you want to say it.
So Ford will discontinue 4 models: the Lincoln Continental, the Ford Escort, the Mercury Cougar, and the Mercury Villager. Ford may be in the most trouble, but together Detroit's Big Three lost $6 billion last year.
So it isn't just enough to sell cars. You got to make some margin on them, and Detroit right now is really struggling to do that.
While automakers sold a near-record 17.1 million vehicles last year, sales for Detroit's Big Three actually declined. GM was down 1%, Ford more than 5%, and Chrysler 10%.
To some analysts, that means
that the business model of this industry is broken.
David Cole of the Center for Automotive Research says from parts suppliers to other auto companies, there will be more casualties.
It is survival of the fittest. There's going to be blood on the floor.
Bill Ford said today he would pay with his salary, accepting only stock options.
If the company succeeds, I will do well. And if we don't, I don't get paid.
But with auto sales forecast to slump this year, Ford is looking at a rough ride on the road ahead. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Detroit.
On the CBS Market Watch, stocks closed lower today after Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan said the economy still faces significant risks. The Dow lost a little more than 80 points, the Nasdaq just a little more than 24. A new study by the Milken Institute, an economic think tank, says the United States will lose 1.5 million jobs this year as a result of September 11th. Cities dependent on tourism, Las Vegas, for instance, will be hit the hardest. Now about the war that began with the attack on America. After a flight halfway around the world, 20 terrorist suspects captured in Afghanistan are settling in tonight at an open-air prison in the Caribbean. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin reports their new home is on the shores of Guantanamo Bay in southern Cuba.
A plane carrying 20 Taliban and al-Qaeda prisoners, some of them still resisting, arrived at the U.S. Navy base in Guantanamo Bay 4 months to the day after the 9/11 attacks. Shackled, hooded, and in one case sedated, they had been loaded aboard a C-17 transport yesterday in Kandahar with 2 guards for every prisoner.
These are people that would gnaw through hydraulic lines in the back of a C-17 to bring it down.
Although classified as unlawful combatants, they are being given most of the rights granted prisoners of war under the Geneva Convention. There are now 445 Taliban and al-Qaeda, including 7 senior leaders, in U.S. custody.
And as we interrogate more detainees, we are being told of terrorists who they believe were killed in earlier bombing raids.
U.S. intelligence is now confident 8 senior leaders of the Taliban and al-Qaeda have been killed, although figuring out who is dead and who is still alive is tricky business.
You do have to wonder if maybe somebody would want us to think somebody was dead.
Searches of caves and safe houses have turned up a motherlode of intelligence.
An enormous number of documents and videotapes and computer disks and hard drives and laptops and portable phones and address books and the like.
Including this surveillance tape shot in Singapore as part of a plot to attack U.S. Navy ships and sailors. Narrated by an alleged al-Qaeda operative, the tape describes a bus stop where U.S. Navy personnel line up each day.
That is a pickup point where those personnel will queue up.
Sifting through captured documents to head off other plots now seems to have replaced the so far fruitless hunt for Osama bin Laden and Mullah Omar as the #1 priority. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The verdict came in late today in the hockey dad's manslaughter trial that focused national attention on parental violence in children's sports. CBS News correspondent Jim Axelrod is at the courthouse in Cambridge, Massachusetts with the latest. Jim?
John, after more than 13 hours of deliberations, a jury of 9 women and 3 men have found Thomas Junta guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
18 months and 19 witnesses later, the jury spoke.
Let's say, was the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Off mic, the verdict, guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
I'm remanding the defendant to the custody of the sheriff.
In July of 2000, Junta and Michael Costin fought at this hockey rink in Reading, Massachusetts, north of Boston. Costin had been on ice, supervising a hockey game involving both men's sons, a game Junta thought too rough. Junta yelled at Costin to calm things down, and a fight broke out.
Under 5 seconds, 3 to 4 punches, it was over.
In the words of his lawyer, Junta was a gentle giant, acting in simple self-defense.
He reacted to a force that was directed at him. He defended himself against that force as he had a right to do.
Gentle giant?
The prosecutor ridiculed the idea of self-defense, reminding the jury Junta and Costin had tangled once. Junta left the rink, then returned and beat Costin relentlessly.
He comes in, his fists are clenched, he's angry, he's got a look of anger on his face.
And ultimately, it was this prosecution view of Thomas Junta, the enraged aggressor, rather than simply a dad defending himself and his kids, that the jury agreed with. He'll be sentenced 2 weeks from today, January 25th. Thomas Junta now faces up to 20 years in prison. John?
Jim Axelrod reporting for us tonight from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, Eye on America. In the home front battle against terrorism, the police say the law has them handcuffed.
When diet and exercise fail, adding Lipitor can help lower your total cholesterol 29 to 45%. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Simple blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor about other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of serious side effects. 1 in 5 people has high cholesterol. Millions need treatment. For less cholesterol, ask your doctor if Lipitor is right for you.
It's a different kind of Fixodent, with no artificial flavors or colors. It's Fixodent-free. Fixodent holds stronger, holds longer than any other free adhesive. Fixodent and forget it with Fixodent-free.
Nexium.
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 Nexium. People are asking their doctors about it. And if you call 1-800-4-NEXIUM, you'll learn about a free trial offer.
Today's purple pill is Nexium.
I have asthma. I also have a family. And carpool. And play dates. And 24 kids. Look, I might have asthma, but I also have a life.
Singulair helps you control your asthma. Singulair is different from many daily inhaled controllers. It's not a steroid, and it's a once-a-day tablet that can help control asthma for a full 24 hours. It also comes in a cherry chewable tablet for children 2 years and older. Singulair should not be used to treat acute asthma attacks. Continue taking your other asthma medicines unless your doctor tells you to stop or change the dose. If symptoms get worse, contact your doctor at once. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, flu, runny nose, and ear infection. For more information about Singulair, ask your doctor and ask about adding once-a-day Singulair. Singulair, asthma control that can help you breathe easier.
The White House said today that in the new federal budget he'll send to Congress next month, President Bush will propose to double spending for Homeland Security to $15 billion. Police departments leading the Homeland Security effort say they want more than money. They want freedom of action in the war on terrorism, as Bill Whitaker tells us in tonight's Eye on America.
When convicted terrorist Ahmed Rassam was arrested near Seattle on his way to blow up Los Angeles airport for New Year 2000, Seattle police had no clue.
Information about that incident became known to the Seattle Police Department by us seeing it on the television news.
When blind Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman visited Seattle a month after the '93 World Trade Center bombing, the terror which earned him a life sentence, Seattle police couldn't monitor him because of decades-old restrictions on gathering intelligence. Restrictions designed to protect privacy and free expression. Restrictions so tight that when World Trade Organization demonstrations erupted, Seattle police had to rely on intelligence obtained by law enforcement agencies who had come to town to help.
Our desire is to protect the people of the city of Seattle, and without information, our hands are tied.
Seattle police are demanding what commissioners just granted police here in Los Angeles: more freedom to gather intelligence. Departments from Chicago to Portland have been pushing to get restrictions lifted off their backs, restrictions often imposed because of past police abuses.
There are church groups, there are individuals.
Former Black Panther Michael Zinzan sued the LAPD in 1981 and forced it to rein in its intelligence unit when he found they'd infiltrated his community group. The suit revealed police spying on the Panthers and Jane Fonda, but also on then-Mayor Tom Bradley, even the PTA.
Individuals, organizations who simply wanted to speak out, exercise their right to speak out. That's the danger, and we're unleashing that once again.
We have suffered somewhat by being overly concerned in the last 2 decades about the civil libertarians' view, and we should not have unnecessary hurdles if our role is to protect our community.
Chief Parks calls it the new reality. And in Los Angeles, Seattle, and cities across the country, police say rules used to fight the war on crime feel like dangerous handicaps in the new war on terror. In Los Angeles, this is Bill Whitaker for Eye on America.
A federal judge in New York ordered the son of an Egyptian diplomat held without bail today after he was charged with lying about a radio found in the hotel room where he was staying on September 11th. The radio is a type used to communicate with airline pilots. Abdallah Hagazi's room in the Millennium Hotel on September 11th had a clear view of the World Trade Center.
Today we remember our friend and Wendy's founder, Dave Thomas. Known by everyone as Dave, he made us smile with his commercials, and because of his efforts on behalf of adoption, he brought hope and joy to children and families everywhere. His philosophy was simple: be nice and give something back. He was happiest when he could help someone else succeed. So from all of us who were touched by his life, we say, thanks, Dave.
If you've had a heart attack or a stroke, the last thing you need is another one sneaking up on you. After all, you've got better things to do. I know. In my case, I had a stroke. That's why I talked to my doctor about Plavix. He told me Plavix is a prescription pill that can help protect you from a heart attack or stroke if you've recently had one, or if you have poor circulation in the legs causing pain.
Plavix is proven to help keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, which helps keep your blood flowing. This can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke. If you have a medical condition that is causing bleeding, such as a stomach ulcer, you should not use Plavix. Side effects include itching, rash, diarrhea, and bruising. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur. Ask your doctor.
Taking Plavix once a day helps protect me.
Find out if Plavix can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke.
Maalox Max challenges Mylanta Supreme. Who neutralizes more acid? Maalox Max. Relieves pressure and bloating. Maalox Max. Comes in more great flavors. Maalox Max. 3 ways the right choice is Maalox Max. Agree or it's free.
Abner, we're rich.
We're rich?
It's our new litter. It's got diamonds in it.
Diamonds! What's a diamond?
A diamond is a very valuable...
You are mistaken, my friends. The diamonds are crystals in Tidy Cat's Crystals Blend. The clay traps moisture, the crystals eliminate odor, and that is the only reason I agreed to live here with the likes of you.
Whatever.
Tidy Cat's Crystals Blend.
I still think they're diamonds.
If your pencils look like mine did, there's something you can do. Ask your doctor if the Nicotrol inhaler is right for you. Or for more information, call 1-800-INHALER. Call today.
What could be bad about America destroying plants that produce cocaine? Nothing, if that was the only thing we were destroying. 60 Minutes Sunday.
In Belfast, Northern Ireland, it's not clear why 2 women, one Catholic, one Protestant, got into an argument. But their angry dispute was enough to set off the worst rioting the province has seen in months. Gangs of young Protestants and Catholics fought one another, and both sides battled the police, throwing Molotov cocktails and torching cars. At least 30 police officers and 3 British soldiers were injured in the night-long violence. And this morning, anxious parents walked their children past the scorched hulks of cars to a Catholic school in a Protestant neighborhood that has long been a flashpoint for sectarian violence. In Buenos Aires, Argentina, what began last night as a peaceful protest against government limits on bank withdrawals turned violent. Protesters battled riot police and vandalized banks. Faced with a severe economic crisis, the Argentine government has devalued the peso, prompting long lines at banks as depositors tried to withdraw their money. And in the Middle East, Israeli army bulldozers ripped up the runway of the Palestinian airport in the Gaza Strip. This was retaliation for a suicide attack by 2 Palestinians on Wednesday that killed 4 Israeli soldiers. Late today, Yasser Arafat's Palestinian Authority announced it has detained 2 senior Palestinian officials and is seeking another on suspicion of trying to smuggle arms into Gaza. Last week, Israel's Navy stopped and seized a Palestinian-owned ship which was carrying 50 tons of weapons and ammunition. The Israeli government blamed Arafat, who denies the charge. You are watching the CBS Evening News, and we'll be back with more news in a moment.
Mike, let's take a look at those reports next Thursday. And Tom, Susan, set up a meeting on Monday. Any other thoughts?
You know, sir,
Instead of saving money by having only one office pen, we could just go to Staples.
Yeah, with Staples 365 savings, they compare prices and back it up with a 110% price match guarantee.
That's sharp thinking.
Hey, client's here. We need the pen.
Low prices on every item, every day. Staples 365 savings. Yeah, we've got that.
If you're taking aspirin for your heart, there's important news about mixing medication you need to discuss with your doctor. It's been shown that ibuprofen, the pain reliever in Advil and Motrin, in some cases may interfere with the way aspirin works to protect your heart. Don't let another pain reliever interfere with aspirin's life-saving benefits. To relieve tough pain, take extra strength Bayer aspirin. Nothing's proven stronger and more aspirin won't interfere. Bayer, take it for pain, take it for life. Aspirin is not appropriate for everyone, so be sure to talk to your doctor before you begin an aspirin regimen.
I quit. Feeling lethargic.
I quit. Feeling bloated again and again.
It's time to quit. Quit the cycle of irregularity with Metamucil Daily Fiber Therapy. With Metamucil, you don't just get regular, you stay regular. Day after day, week after week.
I didn't just quit. I quit for good.
And you can too.
Metamucil Daily Fiber Therapy. Get regular, stay regular.
Diabetes. It's no joke at all. And in Louisiana one night, paramedics came sticking me, to test my blood sugar. So I got to be punching my fingers, and this is all I got. These 10 here, this is it. I'm leaving the pain behind me.
One Touch Ultra requires less blood, so you can test on your arm where it's less painful. The One Touch Ultra.
I've been waiting for this for 10 years.
Critics across the nation are cheering America's favorite comedy, Kate and Leopold. It's smart and sexy, 2 thumbs up. Now it's been nominated for 2 Golden Globes, including Best Actor Hugh Jackman. Kate and Leopold, rated PG-13, now playing.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent.
A series of complaints has been filed against former state and Metro medical examiner Charles Harlan. Charges so serious it could cost him his medical license. The story at 6.
Think you had a bad day? Probably wasn't as bad as the day Justin Kirkbride had. He pilots a sightseeing plane. There it is, shortly after it crashed in the Colorado mountains. Kirkbride and his 2 passengers survived, but he had to walk 10 miles in the snow to get help. He then boarded a helicopter to lead a rescue team to the scene. There it is, shortly after it crashed. Everyone survived that crash, too, and the sightseers were finally rescued. Asked about the 2 crashes, Kirkbride said, "I'd like to think of them as landings because I walked away." And that's the CBS Evening News for this Friday. Next week on this broadcast, how safe is your pension? We'll have some answers. Still no cure for the common cold, but we'll tell you about some effective treatments and a pill that could keep you awake for days. The military is experimenting with one. Dan Rather will be along later on tonight with 48 Hours.
Bob and Doris Angleton were living their dream in an exclusive community.
It was perfect.
But behind closed doors, there were secrets, and there was murder.
There is no motive for murder.
Who killed the bookie's wife? A 48 Hours mystery tonight.
For Dan Rather, I'm John Roberts, CBS News in New York. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night and a good weekend. I'll see you again on Monday.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News. The $1 million Survivor Africa winner on the Saturday Early Show. Experience CBS News.